March on the colors.
I said,
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Come! Ready, cut! Right, turn, hit!
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Please be seated. On behalf of Rebecca Morrissey, our building principal, and Dr. Tiffany Anderson, USD 501 superintendent, welcome to the 15th 9/11 Remembrance Ceremony. Today, I'm sure you all woke up just like any other day. It is a Wednesday, the 7th of September. There is no historical significance to today's date. It is the actual day that extremists changed the course of history for our country. It is just like the morning that 3 devastating attacks took place around our great country. Only a few in this auditorium can actually remember the real significance of that morning in 2001. Today, as you come into contact with those who have a vivid memory of September 11, 2001, ask them a few questions. Where were you when you first heard of the attack? Ask them what feelings overcame you. Finally, ask them what this is an event that changed the way in which they think and live their lives. On the 11th of September 2016, our country will once again recognize a milestone day, the 15th anniversary of the savage attack.
Hello everyone, my name is Robin, and I stand here today representing 15 years passing. The truth of it all is, maybe you could stand up here and do the same. But it's an honor for me to speak to you today. 5 years ago, I sat at Constitution Plaza representing 10 years. But today is a new day, with more years since the tragedy happened behind us. I'd like to talk to you today about a couple of things. Courage and how much time changes, but how in the long run it stays the same. Courage. How would you define courage? Is it something you do, the way you think or feel? We think we know what courage is, but in my opinion, courage can't be so easily defined. To me, courage is standing up for your friends or a stranger. Courage is risking something. Courage is something that you're born with, but it can also be learned. In the heat of the moment, someone can be courageous. They might find courage that they never knew they had. They can expel fear and do incredible things. People can be courageous for others' sake. Being courageous is an amazing thing to do, but being courageous does not mean fearless. Courageous is facing those fears and not letting them get to you. Being courageous is knowing those fears may hurt, but still attacking them and fighting them for what you believe. But facing those fears, by being courageous, you can also give the ultimate sacrifice. As my message comes to a close, I will remind you one more time just how much time has passed and what that may look like in your life. 15 years ago, the Twin Towers were struck down, along with 2 other sites, the Pentagon and the Field. These events changed American lifestyles and history forever. You may have been a toddler or not even born yet at this time. For us, the changes are obvious. We have come a long way, and now here we are, young men and women with bright futures ahead. It's hard to imagine that in 15 years we have made a life for ourselves. But it's even harder to believe that 15 years ago, a tragedy happened. A tragedy that was of such proportion, we talk about it to this day, and still will, 5, 10, maybe 15 years from now.
years, authorities wondered about the identity of a U.S. Marine who appeared at the World Trade Center on September 11, 2001 and helped find a pair of police officers buried in the rubble and then vanished. Even the producers of a new film chronicling the rescue, World Trade Center, couldn't locate the mystery serviceman who had given his name only as Sergeant Thomas. The puzzle was finally solved when one Jason Thomas of Columbus, Ohio, saw a TV commercial for the new movie a few weeks ago as he relaxed on his couch. His eyes widened as he saw two Marines with flashlights hunting for survivors atop the smoldering ruins. That's us, that's me, thought Thomas, who lived in Long Island during the attacks and now works as an officer in Ohio's Supreme Court. Thomas, 32, presently re-emerged last week to recount the role he played in the rescue of Port Authority police officers Will Jimeno and Sergeant John McLaughlin, who were entombed beneath 20 feet of debris when the Twin Towers collapsed. Back in New York to speak of his experience and visit family, Thomas provided the AP with photographs of himself at Ground Zero. As further proof of his identity, the movie's producer, Michael Schamberg, said Thomas and Jimeno had spoken by phone and shared details only the two of them would know. Thomas, who has been out of the Marine Corps about a year, was dropping his daughter off at his mother's Long Island home when she told him the planes had struck the towers. He retrieved his Marine uniform from his truck, sped to Manhattan, and just parked his car when one of the towers collapsed. Thomas ran toward the center of the ash cloud. Someone needed help. It didn't matter who, he said. I didn't even have a plan, but I have all this training as a Marine, and all I could think was my city is in need. Thomas bumped into another ex-Marine, Staff Sergeant David Carnes, and the pair decided to search for survivors. Carrying little more than flashlights and an infantryman's shovel, they climbed a mountain of debris, skirting dangerous crevices and shards of red-hot metal, calling out, "Is anyone down there? U.S. Marines!" It was dark before they heard a response. The two crawled into a deep pit to find McLaughlin and Jimeno, injured but alive. Jimeno had spent 13 hours in the pit before he was pulled free. Thomas stayed long enough to see him come up, but left due to sheer exhaustion before McLaughlin, who remained pinned for another 9 hours, was retrieved. Thomas said he returned to Ground Zero every day for another 2.5 weeks to pitch in and help, then walked away and tried to forget. "I didn't really want to relive what took place that day," he said. Schamberg said he apologized to Thomas for an inaccuracy in the film. Thomas is black, but the actor cast to portray him, William McButler, is white. Filmmakers realized the mistake only after production had begun, Schamberg said. Thomas laughed and gently chided the filmmakers, then politely declined to discuss it further. "I don't want to shed any activity on what they were trying to show," he said. As for his story, Thomas said he is gradually becoming more comfortable telling it. "It's been like therapy," he says.
Good morning. I'm Cadet Second Lieutenant Adam. We are still Americans with much to improve, but even more to be proud of. Be proud of who you are. You can be courageous. You can fight your fears and never forget the sacrifices it took to get where you are today.
Good morning. My name is Alrara. As we recognize this 15th anniversary, consider what is the importance of an anniversary? What do they mean to us? Is it the first anniversary of a new relationship for you? How about the anniversary of a great day in your life? While you celebrate the milestones in your family or spend time with your family or friends, tens of thousands of others will gather at 3 different devastating sites to mourn the loss of family members and friends. Today, let us look at a few comments made by prominent citizens on anniversaries past before we dare look at what lies ahead of us.
Good morning. I am Cadet Second Lieutenant Ramirez. Karen Carroll, who lost her brother, a firefighter, on September 11th, said, "Let today never ever be a national holiday. Let it not be a celebration. It's a day to be somber. It's a day to reflect on all those thousands of people that died for us in the United States."
Good morning, everyone. I am Cadet Staff Sergeant Lyons. Senator Robert Menendez said, "The wound still hurts, but as we continue moving forward, building on our hopes for this nation, let's remain committed to that spirit of unity which we experienced in the days after the tragedy, and which we embrace today. Today, as a nation, our resolve and commitment to a future and prosperity for all remains unshaken."
Good morning, everyone. My
Second Lieutenant Garber. Former U.S. Representative Bruce Bailey said, September 11, 2001 was a day that changed the trajectory of our nation. It is my hope that we can honor the memory of those we lost by appealing to our better angels, creating a better, stronger nation, not in spite of our differences, but because of them.
U.S. Representative James D. Clyburn said, "We will celebrate the generosity, resilience, and bravery of the American people as we honor first responders, caregivers, and average Americans who were on the scene responding to the disaster and on the job helping with the recovery. In the true American spirit, we now take this occasion to help one another during a national day of service and remembrance. It's important that we as Americans get involved in our communities, volunteer, and extend a hand to those in need."
New York Archbishop Timothy Dolan said, "We must never allow September 11th to become a time for protest and division. Instead, this day must remain a time for promoting peace and mutual respect. It is my hope that September 11th will be a day when we resolve to continue working on those issues which divide us and lay a foundation for a new and deeper understanding among us all."
Former First Lady Laura Bush said, "In the skies above this field, and in Washington, and in New York City, we saw the worst of our enemy and the best of our nation. On this day, Americans have no divisions. We saw that there is evil in the world, but good at the heart of our country. America was attacked, but the deepest belief of our democracy was vindicated.
First Lady Michelle Obama said, "May the memory of those who gave their lives here continue to be an inspiration to you and an inspiration to all of America." It was clear that these 40 individuals were no strangers to sacrifice. Being a hero is not just a matter of faith, it's a matter of choice. It is truly my prayer today that all who come here will be filled with hope. There are so many individual inspirational quotes could have drawn from for this event. We focused on the ones that so closely mirror our lives today. Many have heard and remember the famous quote from Todd Beamer, "Let's roll."
Those two words speak volumes of the tradition of American courage and unity in crisis. Those words set in motion strangers who banded together with nothing but cards, hot water, instruments forged from the flame, and sheer determination. Determination to prevent further carnage as they had learned of the previous attacks through last calls to loved ones. Can you imagine what it took to be a hero that day? One of the most difficult things to teach is empathy, feeling for others' feeling.
But if you can begin to empathize with one of these heroes, you will understand the impact of this day. What do you remember the most? Firefighters, ambulance crews, police officers, all first responders who move under the sounds of terror? What about the person in the ladder rail who holds your hand to guide you safely through the billowing black toxic smoke?
Or is it the passerby on the street who simply led the disorientated away from the Twin Towers, which would, soon after, drop straight to the earth? Today, we seem to look for those to blaze the path for us. We look for the next great role model. We will never know who will be there to hold his or her hand out to help you or me through adversity.
How do we make this through our first times? It takes the strength of the community. No one person is able to handle all the challenges by himself. It takes the strength of many, and this strength comes from the character of those with whom you are associated. Imagine how families dealt with the loss of loved ones. Look at the adversity that happens here at Topeka High School. We must have the foresight and forethought to seek out for those of character.
I feel Dr. King was the man ahead of his times. He guided so many down the roads of strife and pain. How did he do it? Dr. King said, "You cannot walk alone. And as we walk, we must walk and make the pledge that we shall march ahead, we cannot turn back.
Imagine if he chose to embrace the twin memorial pools today and tried to ease the pain of the 3,000 plus families. What a sight it would be. As we watch the documentaries and reenactments of 9/11 today, it has been so poetically said that 45 strangers boarded Flight 93 for one destination, but for 45 different reasons. In the air, that changed. The 45 found a common purpose. It benefited none of them personally, but they made their final decision.
Their act stirs us in the courage to band together, to lift each other up, character and strength in their finest moments. One hand reaching to help another. On 9/11/2001, tyranny didn't discriminate. It took every life on the planes, many in the Pentagon, and those strategically lost in the Twin Towers.
Today, a new tower stands. One World Trade Center, and today is a day to remember anniversaries.
Remember the anniversaries of the positive memories in your life. Remember the times when you displayed a character others enjoyed and the same character which we once displayed for you.
If we don't display the correct amounts of giving and character, sadly the answer will probably be no. However, we do have the opportunity to change this.
Today, as we leave the auditorium, let us look to one another and look for the best of that person. Look past the shortcomings and search for the positives. Let today become the first anniversary of seeking to see the best in order to facilitate the growth of our country so we can walk hand in hand as those who would wish us harm, so that we are strong and cannot be separated.
The ceremony today is organized and run directly by all the cadets and independently. We so very much appreciate the respect you have given us by attending today. You're now dismissed back to your Trojan Time classroom.